Hi everyone, I'm John Fensel. We're here at the National Guard Memorial on Omaha Beach, on the western edge of Omaha Beach. And this is just a great place to reflect on life's obstacles and the determination that it takes sometimes to work your way through them. As you look out on the beach here, you can see that it stretches out right in a concave arc for almost 4 miles with just massive cliffs, 100 feet high, towering over the seashore. There are only 5 exits from the beach through that wall. In the military, we call them draws. Think of them as doorways because that's really what they were to the men who were exiting the landing craft on this beach 75 years ago. They were looking for a way, any way, to come off of the beach, and those draws afforded them the way to do that. The Germans knew that too, so they built up these 2 Widerstandsnest, one right here to our right. We call them WNs for short, Widerstandsnest, resistant point. This is Widerstandsnest 72 to cover those exits from the beach. So we're standing at the entrance of the Veerville Draw, or D1. Dog 1 as it was called. This is the sector of the beach called Dog Green. This is where the most ferocious fighting took place on D-Day. On D-Day, the positions 2 casemates, one here and one right over here, one with 50mm gun and the other one with a 75mm, enfiladed the beach to the left and to the right. Finally, shortly after midday, with the assistance of the USS Texas, the position was neutralized by a Sherman DD tank from the 743rd Tank Battalion. The whole memorial has been built on Blockhouse WN 72, and we'll head over there here in a second. Inside, the story of the National Guard from 1917 to 1918, and then from 1940 to 1945 is told in English and in French. The beach is broad and it's flat, and at low tide, some 200 to 300 yards can separate the beach wall from the water's edge. 3 football fields, just think of that. And then think of this, to anyone standing here on the cliffs, it's like being in the stands of that football field with a perfect view of the entire field. And you have this luxury of shooting down on the full expanse of that field, of this beach. Below us too are the remains of the American Mulberry Harbor just behind me. The morning of June 6, 1944, the enemy was just waiting right here on the cliffs, and rather than facing conscripts of the 7th to 16th Static Division, they were hardened combat veterans of the German 352nd Division. To make matters worse, one of the battalions of the 352nd Division was just completing an anti-invasion exercise in the area, and so it was deployed correctly and fully prepared to counter any landing. Here, the defensive positions were concentrated on those 5 draws, and they were formidable. Along the beach, they had emplaced 8 big guns in concrete bunkers. Erwin Rommel was in charge of the Atlantic Wall. He had walked these very beaches, and he dictated all the defenses that would be placed here on the beach. Nowhere was that more true than here at Omaha. On the beach itself, embedded in the sand, were massive log obstacles that were in place 3 lines in depth and about 20 feet apart. On top of them, there were in place mines and shells to prevent landing craft from reaching the shore with all of their troops. In addition to those, further inland, the Germans had in place metal and concrete Czech hedgehogs and Belgian gates and nutcrackers and tetrahedra mine posts, and all slanting seaward teller mines were attached to the very top. At first, as this massive armada approached the shore, the DD tanks, those tanks that were rigged to float but really didn't, a lot of them became swamped and they sunk almost as soon as they were launched. The supporting artillery that was supposed to come to shore also toppled over, and then in the heavy seas the engineers were diverted from their intended positions. But still, despite that, things seemed to be going pretty well. The landing craft still weren't being fired on. The casualties, at least initially, were very, very light. It was when the ramps were dropped for the men to go to shore that the enemy began inflicting all the carnage. So the lead company of the 29th Division's 116th Regiment was Company A, 1st Battalion. It came ashore below where the National Guard Memorial stands, and a regimental account of what happened there was prepared by the survivors.